It is 7 p.m. in Bafoussam, West Region of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to the English newscast on Info Television. Our headlines. The Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, has granted an audience this December 15 to the Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Affairs, Solidarity and Humanitarian Affairs of Chad. And in a heartbreaking, melting confrontation on December 14, the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé, Panthère Sportive of Ndé during the Cameroon Cup finals succeeded in grabbing the trophy against the Dove of Ja and Lobo. Those were our headlines. Details in a jiffy. Welcome back. And as you heard in one of our lead stories, Chad has opted to learn from Cameroon's policies and programs in promoting gender equality. This was during an audience granted to the Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Action, Solidarity and Humanitarian Affairs of Chad by Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, Cameroon's Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family. Jude Kenji reports.
A high delegation from Chad, led by Senator Abdelmadib Hassan Haga, Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Affairs, Solidarity and Humanitarian Affairs of Chad, and a representative of the Director General of the National School of Administration and Magistracy, ENAM, meets with the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, this Monday to gain critical insight into Cameroon's strategies for protecting and promoting the rights of women and girls. The meeting marks a concerted effort by Chad to address deep-rooted cultural and religious challenges that hinder gender progress within its own borders.
I'm here in response to the invitation from ENAM to attend and participate in the conference debate scheduled for this afternoon at ENAM. The theme of the event is the emancipation of the African young girl between modernism and tradition.
The audience centered on knowledge sharing, with the visiting officials expressing a strong desire to adapt Cameroon's documented experiences to their national context.
I met with Minister Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, and we discussed the initiative the ministry has implemented or planned to implement for the education of young girls, especially in rural areas. We also talked about the mechanism in place to combat early marriage and strategies to encourage women's entrepreneurship.
The next steps will involve technical exchanges and the sharing of policy frameworks, with the ultimate goal of strengthening Chad's institutional capacity to advance gender equality and protect the rights of women and girls.
The loan agreement between the French Agency for Development and the Cameroon Airport Company was signed this Monday, December 15, 2025. This was in a ceremony presided over by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of Transport in the person of Zachary Njoya, representing the Minister of Transport. Let's watch. 38.3 billion CFA francs is the amount allocated by the French Development Agency, AFD, to Cameroon's airports. The signing of the AFD/ADC loan agreement took place on Monday, December 15, 2025, in the conference room of the Ministry of Transport, in the presence of the Minister Delegate to the Minister of Transport, Njoya Zakariou, representing the Minister of Transport.
Cette cérémonie, longtemps attendue,
this long-awaited ceremony brings a new breath and relief to the state of Cameroon and parties mobilized around this great project. The signing of this convention is very strategic and marks a decisive step in the national politics of infrastructural modernization of airports, guided by developmental national strategies of 2020-2030. These funds will contribute to the renovation of Douala International Airport Terminal. The agreement is based on a strong partnership between the parties involved.
Today we signed a financing agreement between AFD and Aéroport du Cameroun. The purpose is the modernization of Douala Airport. It's based on a very strong partnership between AFD, the state, and ADC, and it will benefit passengers and the economy as a whole.
The renovation of this state-of-the-art terminal will cost a total of 95 billion CFA francs, in addition to the 38.3 billion CFA francs contribution from the French Development Agency. Cameroon Airport Company is also investing 36.7 billion CFA francs in this project, while the remaining 20 billion CFA francs are being covered by the state of Cameroon. As you know, we said that the project will be entirely financed by ADC. The source of funding was partly from ADC's own funds, meaning its operations, and partly from a loan from the AFD. So this is the additional funding we obtained today. In fact, we have finally secured all the financing for the project. But the technical side, the process continues to select the construction company so that work can begin next year around the month of June. Also present at the ceremony was the board chair of the Cameroon Airport Corporation, Dr. Fritz Tone, and the Director General of ADC, Thomas Owona Asumu. The conclusion of this agreement is the result of a long-term effort built on solid foundations.
The commitment of AFD is to be a financing partner of ADC. We provide funding, we also provide some expertise, and we support this major investment.
The first disbursement relating to the construction of a new ultra-modern airport terminal in Douala would hold from the start of 2026, and the reimbursement will be spread over a period of 15 years. Away from that, Cameroon's vibrant markets have become major fashion hubs this festive season, with the latest styles and trends on full display. From the bustling Mokolo market to the relatively calm Yaoundé Central Market, our reporter spoke with traders and customers to get the fashion trends and the shopping modes. Mimi Tiobo.
We visited the bustling Mokolo market and relatively calm Yaoundé Central Market to gauge the current clothing trend and the general atmosphere. Here is what we found. Mokolo market was abuzz with activities, with crowds surging through nearly every street corner. Pants and t-shirts dominated the stores as vendors showcased their latest style. One street vendor, known for his sexy pimp styles, expressed his confidence that his clothing line would appeal to young shoppers.
Young people
prefer clothes like boyfriend's jeans, plain t-shirt, and oversized t-shirt. So t-shirts are really popular. Maybe because of the American style or something, and it depends on the prices. There is a boutique and there is the thrift store, so it depends on the store. In a nearby shop, a salesperson identified as Kichanga noted that everyone has a unique sense of style, adding that successful sales depend on understanding customers' preferences. A customer, Christelle Kamga, also emphasized that personal taste plays a major role in clothing choices.
Les nouveautés de cette année, il y a beaucoup plus les cargos qui sont revenus.
This year fashion trend include 4-pocket sets and 2-tone jacket. Apparently, people used to avoid colorful jackets because they clash with other colors. But now, 2-tone is in.
Ça fait que cette année, les vestes sont venues en 2 tons.
Pour les fêtes de fin d'année, moi, je préfère.
For the end of year feast, I generally prefer suits for kids. I prefer them because it makes the child look more responsible. So, they don't. For example, this year, the kids are asking for things like cargo pants, and it's a style I don't really like. Because they have pockets everywhere, it gives a bit of a rough look. Actually, at home, I give the kids what they ask for. But I know it's popular, so I like suits because every year I buy them. Customers or things with jacket. Yes, it makes the kids look responsible. In contrast, the Yaoundé Central Market was relatively calm, with sellers patiently waiting for customers to visit their shops. Mama Mary, a vendor at the market, echoed the views that understanding customer preferences is essential to making sales. At the Central Market, business isn't booming. All the customers here, they don't even have good money. We sell destroy and cargo items, but they say it's too expensive. So it doesn't sell. There is no market for it. Last year it was a bit better, but this year is really tough. It's too hard. There's just no money around. Despite the different atmosphere, clothing trends were largely similar in both markets. Pants and t-shirt topped the list of best-selling items, with both markets offering a wide range of styles to suit diverse customers' tastes.
The abuse of cell phones and internet by young people is fast becoming a threat to their safety, mental health and future. As digital access continues to expand, citizens are increasingly raising concerns over the growing risk and dangers faced by today's youth. As you tell us in this report, Jessica Ndiwum.
The abuse of cell phones and the internet by young people is fast becoming a silent threat to their safety, mental health, and future. What was once a tool for learning and communication is increasingly being misused, exposing youths to a range of risks in today's digital world.
Beaucoup de choses de manière négative.
Nowadays, children, especially those between 10 and 15 years old, are increasingly exposed to harmful content, such as pornography, through their phones. They often share and imitate these contents with their peers. This exposure can manipulate children because they may not yet have the maturity to understand that such behavior is wrong. In other words, without sufficient maturity, children are vulnerable to passive manipulation and negative influences. With growing digital access, more youths are finding themselves exposed to dangerous and risky online spaces.
Nous avons des jeunes filles.
Many young girls today are overly attracted to material possessions. When they see peers who seem successful or influential, they may envy them without understanding how they achieved that status. This envy can push some girls to make dangerous choices, such as engaging in prostitution just to appear successful or to acquire luxury items like the latest phone. I also emphasize that this is harmful, and I suggest that parents should closely supervise their daughters, even proposing that girls might only be allowed to have their own phones after finishing high school. The visibility of relationships, such as gay and lesbian couples on social media, can influence young people to reject traditional teachings about relationships being between men and women. Social networks are filled with harmful content, exposing youth to inappropriate behaviors and ideas, including extreme or risky activities like lesbians and many others, which is becoming increasingly popular. Despite the risk involved, necessary precautions must be put in place to help limit these dangers. As a counselor, I cannot recommend that parents completely take away children's phone because I don't believe it helps their education. Instead, I suggest limiting phones use and guiding children, setting specific times when phones can or cannot be used. For example, during class and weekdays, phones should not be used, but limited use could be allowed on weekends.
They spend the great deal of their time by using those medias, and that's not good. That situation needs resolution.
As the digital space expands, collective action is needed to protect young people and keep technology a force for development.
And in religion, thousands of Christians gathered at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex on December 14, 2025 for the closing ceremony of Professor Zakaria Tane Fomum's Golden Jubilee. The celebration concluded 3 days of meditation, prayers, and praise to God. Mimi Tiobo tells us more.
Millions of participants gathered at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sport Complex on December 14, 2025 in intense prayers and meditation for the closing ceremony of the Golden Jubilee of spiritual impact and transformation through the ministry of Professor Zakaria Tane Fomum, whose ministry continues to transform lives worldwide.
It has been a really great moment, a moment of celebration, a moment of commemoration, a moment of impartition. We are leaving this place as missionaries. We were aiming to have a new generation who will arise with the same zeal, with the same fire, with the same love for God, to carry the vision that Professor Fomum gave us and imitate the model of the life of Professor Fomum. We think that God made it and that the whole world shall notice it in the days that will come.
With every prayers, a testament of faith. With every voice, a declaration of praise. A ministry that started with one man's calling has now become a great international ministry with more than 200 countries involved.
We are celebrating the faithfulness of God. He found a man in the person of Professor Zakaria Tane Fomum, to whom he confided his purposes in this generation and gave him a goal to make of the present world 1 billion disciples who will render total obedience to the Lord Jesus Christ in everything in 250 nations. And God has been very faithful in these first 50 years. He has stood with him, he has led him. Our ministry is led by the Rhema of God.
Christians express their heartfelt satisfaction and gratitude after the 3-day spiritual extravaganza filled with intense prayers, meditation, and praise.
We are very happy. We are experimenting God's visitation because it is like this moment is like God giving us new capacities to continue till at least 2065, which is the deadline God gave us to give him 1 billion of this Jesus Christ disciple who will give him obedience in everything.
We are here as a ministry, not just CMFI, but everybody linked to the ministry of Professor Zakaria Tane Fomum. I myself as a grandchild, but not just as a grandchild, as a member and a part of this ministry. We've been here now, this is the 3rd day, praising God, celebrating God for all the things that God did through him, celebrating with the people that he built, both young and old, the older generation and the younger generation. We have all been here together to join hands to celebrate God for all the things that he has done through him and all the things that he has allowed us to do since his departure.
The event was a truly life-changing experience, leaving a lasting impact on the millions of participants. The legacy lives on, a spirit that continues to transform lives.
And onto something else, as modern lifestyles reshape communication, ancestral languages are quietly fading into silence. However, some determined families are showing remarkable progress in keeping their native tongues alive. Jessica Ndiwo made findings on that story in our reports.
Mother tongues hold the soul of our communities, but today they face an uncertain future. Globalization and modern education continue to promote foreign languages, pushing local expressions further from daily life. In the West region, languages such as Ndumba, Rumbala, and Bamun stand as pillars of identity, carrying the history, values, and unique worldviews of their communities. They reflect a profound cultural heritage, but passing them on to the next generation is becoming increasingly fragile.
La langue maternelle, elle est importante.
The mother tongue language is important. It is very important for us Africans. The mother tongue language is the origin of a culture. To know that you are from such a place, this language must be spoken.
Cette langue soit parlée.
It is not all that we speak in French or English, because there are thousands of things that you could discuss with your brother or sister. That is, it is only you two who can understand what you both are talking about. So for me, learning the patois is very good.
Patois est très bien.
Despite these challenges, some parents are finding creative ways to ensure their children learn and cherish this precious legacy.
Les langues étrangères ont essayé de dominer.
Foreign languages have tried to dominate or to make our mother tongues disappear. Today, we have a lot of pain in making our children hear it because international or national schooling has absorbed our mother tongue.
Absorbe nos langues maternelles.
It is an essential mission to safeguard the linguistic diversity and represent the richness and distinctiveness of the West region in particular and of Cameroon as a whole.
Je ne parle pas bien au.
I don't speak the mother tongue very well, but what I do is that during the holidays, I try to send my children to the village and there they learn better.
Il apprend mieux. Je fais un effort de saluer.
I make an effort to greet in my language in the morning. I am Bajun. I can say, for example, Portia, they have to answer Zulun. And I say Puyukwa in the evening. They have to say Zuzu in the country, Oyok. I interpreted this to the bass because the Amatine is the bass. When the bass is tied, the rest comes on its own.
Tout seul.
In the West region, these voices may be quiet, but they are resilient. And as long as they continue to be heard, silence can still be postponed.
And you heard in sports that in a heartbreaking confrontation on December 14 at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé, Panthère Sportive of Ndé during the Cameroon Cup finals succeeded in grabbing the trophy against the Dove of Ja and Lobo in a 3-1 victory. And we say congratulations to the Panthère Sportive of Ndé. And that information in sports takes us to the end of tonight's edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching and stay in the company of our programs. Have a good evening.